Hey guys, my name's Chris and I live in Australia, and the mainstream media and the Australian government have done it again. We've just gone through an entire week of fear-mongering from the mainstream media about a cyclone coming in. It was relentless. It was news report after news report, article after article, just flooding through. You couldn't get away from it. Couldn't get anywhere away from it. And, I got caught up in it. Because that's all I could see. Every time you turn on the TV, every time you jumped on social media, just Cyclone Alfred, Cyclone Alfred. And it was a bombardment, a lot of it misinformation, and I haven't seen anything like that since COVID. So the overarching premise in this video is, did the mainstream media help? I'll tell you my story. So about a week ago, I started seeing the news popping up about Cyclone Alfred. It's coming down the coast. It's going to be a Category 1, Category 2 cyclone. And the prediction started saying it's hitting southeast Queensland. Everyone started to prepare. And it came closer and closer, and it changed, and it stalled, and it stopped, and it stalled, and it stopped, and it was getting closer, and more news was popping up. It was at a point near when it was just offshore. There was news reporters stationed all across southeast Queensland. They're going, this person's in Noosa, this person's in Mooloolaba, this person's in Brisbane, this person's in Cleveland, this person's in down Broadbeach, all the way down. I was just flicking between reporters saying, it's coming, it's coming. 100% hit rate of a Category 2 coming in. And they told us to prepare. They told us to, bunker down. They closed 1,000 schools. It was coming. It was 100% hit rate. I saw the maps. I saw the Bureau of Meteorology. At one point, it was saying it's coming straight in for me. It's a direct hit to where I live. I was like, okay, cool. So I prepped. I prepped for a cyclone. I taped up the windows. I got a couple of extra food supplies, which pretty much I got 4 litres of long life milk and froze some water bottles and filled up a whole bunch of extra water bottles. And I think I got 2 cans of baked beans because I already had like a fridge full of food, guys. I was like, I don't need any more here. That'll get me through a couple of days of a blackout. I just freeze it all and got some butane gas for my gas cooker. I was like, I'll be sweet. I'll be good here. And it was relentless. The news was saying it was doom and gloom, and for a huge chunk of southeast Queensland, 4 million people to be impacted by this thing. 4 million people getting hit by a Category 2 cyclone. It's a lot. That's something to react to. And the government said they're doing their speeches saying, hunker down, it's coming. It's a direct hit. 100% chance. BLM is saying 100% chance, Cyclone 2. I remember on the night when it was finally supposed to come through, it had changed from 8 o'clock at night to 10 o'clock at night to 4 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock the next day. Just left in this perpetual state of, is Alfred coming? And I think a lot of other people are in them shoes as well. Is it coming? What's going on with this thing? But while the mainstream media and the government had us in this perpetual state of fear and uncertainty and anxiety, there's little things going on around us. So over on the Gold Coast City turned around and gave special powers to the police, and they could issue up to $16,000 fines. The city giving special powers to the police, to police citizens. That shouldn't be happening. Why do they get extra powers because of a cyclone? Aren't they just doing their job normally anyway? Moving people through, stopping people from fighting, stopping people from robbing and killing and breaking into stores? Why do they need special powers, and how was that authorized? That's control coming in a disaster that's about to happen. They think that they can get away with giving special powers to the police. Did the police need special powers in this situation? I don't think they do. So somehow we have laws and legislations in place that allows for just a city, not the state, not the federal government, but just a city to give special powers across to police forces to allow them to do extra things, such as a $16,000 fine. And of course, that $16,000 is for people doing reckless things, but who's to determine what reckless behavior is? Who's to determine that when they're issuing these fines out? Because they have special powers now. How did that get through? How can a city approve that where a state or a federal government doesn't? That's something to think about. Meanwhile, there was constant government updates that was feeding the news as well. I think David Crisafulli, Premier for Queensland, he was pretty much a Twitch live streamer at that point. He was doing live stream on the media, and then he was talking to the news, and then he's doing another live stream across addressing things, and he's talking to the news. He spent his entire time in front of media. If he had subscribers or donations coming in, I'm sure he'd be doing well as a Twitch streamer. But what was concerning was, instead of a calm leadership, which is what people need, just common sense approach to things and tell us exactly what is happening, he was pushing fear across. hunker down, get off the roads, close the schools, everyone go inside your homes. This is going to be a big one. It's coming straight in towards us. Don't take this not seriously. Hunker down. This is a category 2 coming. It's dangerous. We had that just constantly coming through from the leadership, when the leadership shouldn't have been promoting panic, because it led to panic. It led to people flooding out to Coles and Woolworths, panic shopping, people rushing around on the roads trying to do things, people not knowing what to do, people evacuating when they probably didn't need to evacuate. This is not just a few thousand people impacted. This message was going out to over 4 million people in a wide impact zone. 4 million people panicking at the advice of the government. And is that right? Should the government be working their citizens up into a state of panic? Is it a control thing they were doing there? Seeing if we'd all go inside, seeing if we'd all lock away at a couple of press reports. And a couple of press reports doesn't sound so bad. Well, checking across just on articles and press releases in print, there was over 140,000 press releases and articles over the last week about Cyclone Alfred, let alone the 24/7 streaming and updates on social media and across news channels. Constantly updates. What's it doing now? What should you be doing now? You should be in a perpetual state of panic. It's coming. It's coming. That's what they were saying to us. That's what our government was doing. That's what the mainstream media was doing. They had us all worked up. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Meteorology, they were getting it wrong. Prediction after prediction after prediction. Wrong. Which way is it going? It's going this way. Oh, no, it went that way and said, okay, it's intensifying. No, it's not. At one point, they even said could be a category 3. The BOM coming forward saying this could be a category 3. And the media picked up on that, said category 3 about to hit. That's complete unnecessary panic. And that's all I was seeing. Just panic from the news, panic from the media. Heighten your anxiety, watch the news, trust the government, because the government's taking care of you. There was one segment of Crisafulli's repeating speeches that he'd keep doing over and over again on his updates. And it was around the RNA Showgrounds in Brisbane, saying that it's a shelter, but it has no sleeping capacity. No beds are being set up for it. What he was directly omitting is that it's for homeless people. Where do homeless people go? But he was deterring homeless people by saying there's no beds, there's nowhere to sleep. So where do homeless people go on this thing? The RNA Showground is the perfect place for them to go if it's an evacuation centre or a place to bunker down against the cyclone. But the government, for some reason, didn't want to say homeless people come here, especially in a cost of living crisis when there's over 2,000 homeless people living in Brisbane right now. Where are they supposed to go? Well, the RNA Showground would have been the place if this government had the courage and the leadership to say, hey, if you are homeless, here is where you can go. But they deliberately omitted saying homeless. They deliberately gave no direction to homeless people. Albanese came forward, and if you watch very closely, aside from saying thank you as he took over from Crisafulli's microphone, he never actually commended Crisafulli on the actions that he was doing. He never actually gave credit to Liberal Premier Crisafulli when Albanese is Labor Prime Minister. So there's some politics at play here, guys, and they are pandering. They are pandering because Albanese has used this crisis as another excuse to delay calling for an election. On Albanese's airtime, he's turned around saying all the good things the federal government, the Labor federal government, is doing for the disaster about to occur. He also turned around and talked about the $1,000 disaster payments that will be coming through from the federal government. So he wanted to get his optics right that him, Albanese, running in the election is going to be a good leader and he's doing things to help out. While Crisafulli is also doing different things to help out at the state level. So we have Labor and Liberal both in it. But the optics, of course, are wrong to call an election during a disaster, which is why he's pushing it out. But he could have already called the election. He's choosing not to, and he's now pulling, the strings of like, well, we'll wait for the budget to come out on the 25th of March, and then we'll call an election after the budget's there. So they are both pandering on airtime right now. Albanese's trying to get as much airtime as he can. Crisafulli's trying to get as much airtime as he can. You watch politicians come out of the woodwork after all the floods recede across from the cyclone. You watch them come out and start claiming credit for all the hard work that the SES workers have been doing, for all the hard work that the community has been doing to pull themselves together, from all the hard work that the electricity workers, the Energex workers restoring the lines, all the linesmen out there have been doing to get this, get the power back on. For I think over 300,000 homes have been affected by it so far. You watch the politicians claim the credit for everyone else's hard work here. You watch how they say that they led us through this when they were the ones who were pandering fear and keeping you in a heightened state of anxiety this entire time. You watch them claim credit that they were the leaders that got you through this. When people claim credit for work that they were not directly responsible for, those are very dangerous people. That's Machiavellianism. They will claim credit for the work of others to make themselves look better. It's almost sociopathic, but maybe you need a little bit of a level of sociopathicness to be a politician in this country. But on the lead up to the cyclone, from the government and from the mainstream media, we didn't need this huge panic media occurrence occurring. We didn't need all this panic. We just need the facts. Just tell us what's happening. Give us a quick update, which directions are going. We didn't need 24/7 live news coverage and thousands of articles being posted up and constant live stream releases from politicians. We didn't need that. We just needed the updates. I think they're testing how much control they have over us. The mainstream media seeing how much we react and how much they can keep us in heightened anxiety. The politicians playing the hero at the end of it all when they've done nothing, and it was the people on the ground doing the hard work, doing the hard yakka to get through it all. And they'll come in and they'll claim the credit at the end, saying it was them who made it all happen, them who made it work. But the mainstream media, they want you to think a certain way. They want to see if they can control your emotions. Just to be clear, I understand that a weather event has occurred, but it was not a Category 2 cyclone hitting across into the middle of Brisbane City like they were predicting. It was not that. It came through as a tropical low at the end. I'm not saying people aren't impacted from it. I know a lot of people are. There's over 300,000 homes without power right now. There's been over 5,000 SES rescues, and Lismore and the Northern Rivers down New South Wales completely flooded and devastated from this. But the point is the projections were saying for a much larger area, didn't hit the much larger area. They were wrong. They kept a lot of people in heightened anxiety across this time. The point is the mainstream media was allowed to run this constant fear and panic and anxiety campaign for a prolonged period of time, up to a week, to keep people worried, to keep people not knowing what's going to happen, and the information they're presenting through from the BOM, from the government, wasn't accurate. It hit in different areas were impacted that they said wasn't going to be impacted. Hervey Bay is flooding right now. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Can the mainstream media be trusted? Can we trust the government in the case of a disaster like this? Are we still losing trust in mainstream media and the government, or is the trust already completely gone? Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one.